Listen, in my 347 cycles of teaching at the Galactic Military Academy, I thought I had seen everything. The Korthax warriors who could bench press a hover tank. Sure. The Veltar assassins who could disappear into shadows thicker than their own pride, naturally. But humans? Well, let me tell you about the day I met Corporal Jake Murphy, and how he made me question everything I knew about physics, common sense, and my own sanity. My name is Instructor Vex'torin, and I belong to the proud Zelnari species. We are known throughout the galaxy for our superior intellect, our methodical approach to warfare, and our absolutely flawless ability to judge a soldier's capabilities at first glance, or so I thought, until that cursed Tuesday morning when the human exchange program began. The Academy's grand hall buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 43 different species gathered for orientation. Each species had sent their finest specimens, their most promising warriors, their cream of the crop. The Bruthan delegates stood 8 feet tall, their scales gleaming like polished armor. The Minari floated gracefully, their tentacles weaving complex patterns in the air. And then there were the humans. 5 of them. Just 5. Standing in a neat little row, looking absolutely unremarkable in every possible way. No scales, no tentacles, no extra limbs, no natural armor plating. Just soft, pinkish creatures wearing standard-issue uniforms that somehow managed to look both too big and too small simultaneously. Attention, cadets. My voice echoed through the hall, causing several species to snap to attention. The humans? They just stood there, looking around like tourists at a space museum. Today begins your intensive combat training program. You will be pushed beyond your limits, tested in ways your primitive minds cannot yet comprehend, and forged into the galaxy's finest warriors. I paused for dramatic effect, scanning the crowd with my 4 eyes. But first, equipment inspection. Each of you has been provided with a standard military field pack containing essential survival gear. Step forward when I call your designation. One by one, the cadets presented their equipment. The Korthax warriors' pack was so heavy it dented the inspection platform. The Veltar's gear was sleek and perfectly organized. Standard stuff, really. Then I reached the humans. Cadet Murphy, step forward. The human approached, and I immediately noticed something odd. While every other species struggled under the weight of their regulation gear, this Murphy fellow moved with an easy, relaxed gait. His pack sat comfortably on his shoulders, as if it weighed nothing at all. Present your equipment for inspection, cadet. Murphy set his pack down with a soft thud. Soft. Not the thunderous crash I expected from military-grade survival gear. I frowned, my tentacles twitching with suspicion. Cadet Murphy, this pack seems unusually manageable. Are you certain you received the full standard issue? The human's face broke into what I would later learn was called a grin. It was somewhat unsettling. Yes, sir, Instructor Vex'torin, everything's accounted for. I circled around the pack, examining it from all angles. According to regulation, each field pack should contain 1 plasma rifle, 4 energy cells, emergency rations for 7 days, water purification tablets, a portable shelter, and medical supplies, communication equipment, and various tools for survival in hostile environments. The combined weight should be approximately 67 galactic standard units. This pack looked like it might contain someone's lunch. Open it, I commanded, my voice carrying just a hint of the authority that had made countless cadets tremble over the cycles. Murphy complied, unzipping the pack with casual ease. I peered inside, expecting to find, well, honestly, I wasn't sure what I expected. Maybe he had forgotten half his gear. Perhaps humans were simply too primitive to understand packing instructions. What I found defied explanation. Everything was there. Every single required item, packed with a precision that would make a Minari engineer weep with joy. But more than that, there were additional items, many additional items, things that shouldn't have been able to fit in a pack that size if the laws of physics meant anything at all. Cadet. Explain this, I gestured wildly at the pack, searching for words in my vast vocabulary. This blatant violation of dimensional constraints. Murphy looked genuinely confused. Sir, is there a problem? A problem? My voice climbed several octaves, causing nearby Bruthan cadets to wince. You have somehow managed to fit approximately 130 galactic standard units of equipment into a pack designed for 67. That is scientifically impossible. The human scratched his head, a gesture I later learned indicated thoughtfulness rather than an actual itch. Well, sir, my mom always said I was good at packing for trips. You just have to know how to make use of all the space efficiently. Efficiently? I sputtered. You have violated the fundamental laws of matter displacement. No being in the galaxy can pack gear this efficiently. Actually, sir, another human voice chimed in. This was Cadet Lisa Park, a small female with dark hair and eyes that seemed to hold far too much amusement for my liking. Jake's packing skills are pretty average by human standards. You should see what my grandmother can fit in a purse. The other cadets had stopped their own inspections to watch this exchange. I could feel their attention like a physical weight, and my professional reputation hung in the balance. Here I was, a decorated military instructor, being outsmarted by creatures who looked like they couldn't survive a mild summer breeze. This is unacceptable, I declared, my tentacles writhing with indignation. No cadet, regardless of species, should be able to circumvent established physical limitations. There must be some form of concealed technology at work here. I began pulling items from Murphy's pack, laying them out on the inspection table. Standard plasma rifle. Check. 4 energy cells, neatly arranged in a custom foam insert. Check. 7 days of rations, vacuum sealed and organized by meal type. Check. But then came the extras. A small device I didn't recognize. What is this? This multi-tool, sir, has 47 different functions. 47? I examined the compact object. It was no larger than my smallest tentacle. List them. Murphy began counting on his fingers. Well, there's knife, screwdriver, can opener, bottle opener, scissors, wire cutters, needle nose pliers, regular pliers, file, ruler, magnifying glass, lead light, laser pointer, compass, thermometer, altimeter, barometric pressure gauge, fish scaler, hook remover, tweezers, toothpick, AGULL, corkscrew, saw blade, chisel, leather punch, wire stripper, electrical tester, bit driver with 6 interchangeable bits, measuring tape, level mirror, whistle, emergency flare, and water purification tablets, fire starter, emergency blanket, signal mirror, and, he paused, looking thoughtful. Oh right, bottle cap launcher. I stared at him. Bottle cap launcher? You never know when you might need to launch a bottle cap, sir. The logical part of my brain, the part that had earned me advanced degrees in military science and tactical applications, simply refused to process this information. 47 functions in a device the size of a snack bar? It was impossible. It was ridiculous. It was ingenious, I whispered, before catching myself. I mean, highly irregular. Such devices are not regulation issue. Actually, sir, Murphy said, producing a small manual from another impossibly small pocket, according to Galactic Military Code Section 42-7, personal equipment that enhances mission effectiveness without compromising team safety is permitted, provided it meets dimensional and weight restrictions. I snatched the manual from his hands. There it was, in official print. A regulation I had somehow overlooked in my centuries of service, but that didn't explain how he fit so much additional gear in his pack. Continue the inspection, I growled, determined to find fault somewhere. Murphy pulled out item after item. A compact sleeping bag that expanded to 3 times its compressed size, a water filtration system that could purify toxic sludge, emergency medical supplies that would stock a small field hospital, enough high-energy food bars to feed a squad for 2 weeks, communication equipment that could supposedly reach across 3-star systems. With each item, my confusion grew. And with my confusion, my temper shortened. This is preposterous. I finally exploded. No being in the galaxy can pack this efficiently. It defies every known law of space utilization. You must be using some form of illegal compression technology. Murphy exchanged glances with his fellow humans. They seemed to be sharing some private joke at my expense. Sir, would you like me to demonstrate proper packing technique? Demonstrate. I was practically vibrating with frustration. You want to demonstrate how you violate the laws of physics? Well, sir, it's really not that complicated. You just have to think about it logically. Murphy began repacking his gear with smooth, practiced motions. See, most people just throw things in randomly. But if you nest items properly, use every available space, and distribute weight evenly, you can fit way more than you'd think. I watched, mesmerized despite myself, as Murphy's hands moved with surgical precision. He placed the sleeping bag at the bottom, forming a foundation. The water filtration system nested perfectly inside a hollow section of the shelter components. Small items filled gaps between larger ones. Straps and cords were wound into tight, space-efficient coils. The key, Murphy continued conversationally, is understanding that most containers have a lot of wasted space. Rectangular items leave gaps when packed together, but if you use softer items to fill those gaps and arrange everything by size and frequency of use, that you can achieve optimal space utilization. Optimal space utilization, I repeated weakly. Exactly, sir. It's just basic three-dimensional geometry combined with practical experience. Basic three-dimensional geometry. I felt something inside my brain snap. Here I was, a member of one of the galaxy's most intellectually superior species, being lectured on basic geometry by a creature whose people had only achieved space flight within the last century. A creature who looked like he couldn't intimidate a houseplant, much less pack military equipment with efficiency that bordered on the supernatural. Fine, I said through gritted teeth. Your packing technique is adequate, but packing efficiency means nothing if you cannot carry the load effectively. We shall test your physical capabilities in the field. Murphy shouldered his pack again, settling it into position with those same practiced movements. Ready when you are, sir. We shall see about that, cadet. The obstacle course awaits, and I guarantee it will separate the capable from the incompetent very quickly indeed. As I led the group toward the training grounds, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to learn something else that would challenge my understanding of the universe. Behind me, I could hear the humans talking quietly among themselves, and their tone suggested they were looking forward to whatever challenges lay ahead. Looking forward to it. As if a military obstacle course designed to push the galaxy's finest warriors to their breaking point was some kind of recreational activity. These humans were either completely insane, or I was about to witness something that would fundamentally change my understanding of what was possible. And given how this day had gone so far, I was beginning to suspect it might be both. The Academy's obstacle course was my masterpiece, designed over 50 cycles to challenge every known species in the galaxy. It had broken the spirits of countless overconfident cadets. Gravity wells that would crush most beings, energy barriers that required precise timing, climbing sections that demanded superhuman strength, and puzzle zones that tested tactical intelligence under extreme pressure. Standing at the starting line, I felt my confidence returning. Let these humans pack efficiently all they wanted. Physical performance was another matter entirely. Attention, cadets. I announced, my voice carrying across the training ground. Before you lies the crucible of excellence. Only 12% of all cadets complete this course on their first attempt. Most species require several weeks of conditioning before they can even attempt the final sections. The other species looked appropriately nervous. Bruthan warriors shifted their weight, testing their footing. Minari delegates hovered anxiously, tentacles twitching. The Vex'torin assassins had gone completely still, already calculating optimal approaches. And the humans? They were stretching, like they were preparing for a morning jog. The course consists of 7 sections, I continued, warming to my subject. Gravitational resistance training, precision jumping across energy platforms, vertical cliff assault, maze navigation under time pressure, strength trials, endurance running, And finally, the Tower of Trials, where you must solve complex tactical problems while your oxygen supply dwindles. Several alien cadets were already looking pale, well, as pale as their particular skin colors allowed. "Cadet Murphy," I called out, deciding to make an example. "Since you seem so confident in your abilities, you shall demonstrate for the group. Attempt the first section." Murphy nodded cheerfully, adjusting his perfectly packed gear. "Understood, sir. Just to confirm, we're supposed to complete this while carrying full field packs?" "Naturally. A warrior must be prepared to fight with full equipment at all times. Makes sense," Murphy said, then did something that nearly made me fall over. He began adding more items to his pack. "What are you doing?" I demanded. "Well, sir, if we're going to do this properly, I should probably bring a few extra supplies. Never know what kind of situation we might encounter." From various pockets, he produced additional items, more medical supplies, extra rations, emergency shelter components, climbing gear that hadn't been in the original pack. "Where were you hiding all of that?" I sputtered. "Oh, you know. Here and there." Murphy's pack, which had already defied physics once today, somehow accommodated even more equipment. "Ready when you are, sir." I gestured weakly toward the first obstacle. The gravitational resistance field was set to 3 times standard gravity, enough to bring most species to their knees. Murphy stepped into the field and kept walking. Not struggling, not straining, just walking like he was strolling through a park on a pleasant afternoon. "Increase the field strength," I whispered to my assistant. "A young Zelnari named Kiptar, sir. It's already at maximum safe levels. Then increase it beyond safe levels, sir. That could seriously injure." "Do it. Do it." The gravity field intensified to 4 times, then 5 times standard gravity. Murphy's pace slowed slightly, but he was still moving forward steadily. At 6 times gravity, he actually started humming. Like this was some kind of recreational activity. "Sir," Kiptar whispered urgently, "the field generators are overheating. If we push them any further, they'll explode." I watched in horror as Murphy reached the end of the gravitational section and stepped out, barely breathing hard. He turned back toward the group and waved, like he was greeting friends at a social gathering. "How did you do that?" I shouted across the training ground. "Do what, sir?" "Survive 6 times standard gravity like it was nothing." Murphy looked genuinely puzzled. "Sir, I'm from Denver. We train at high altitude all the time. Plus, human military conditioning focuses heavily on carrying heavy loads over difficult terrain. This is actually easier than our standard PT tests, easier than standard tests." My voice had climbed into ultrasonic ranges that only my species could hear. "Oh yes, sir. Back home, we regularly train with packs weighing twice what I'm carrying now, in environments that would make this course look like a playground." Before I could process this information, Murphy had moved on to the second section. The precision jumping platforms required split-second timing and perfect spatial awareness. Energy beams swept the area in complex patterns, and contact with any beam meant instant disqualification and probably severe burns. Murphy studied the pattern for exactly 3 seconds, then began moving. He flowed through the obstacle like liquid, his body seeming to know exactly where each energy beam would be before it got there. Pack and all, he navigated the section in record time, landing on the final platform with casual grace. "How?" I whispered. "Parkour training, sir," Murphy called back. "Plus, growing up with video games really helps with pattern recognition and spatial reasoning." "Video games?" Recreational simulations that improve hand-eye coordination and tactical thinking," Murphy explained, as if this was perfectly obvious. "Every human plays them." The third section was the vertical cliff assault, 90 meters of smooth metal wall with minimal handholds, designed to test upper body strength and climbing technique. Most species required specialized equipment and took over an hour to complete this section. Murphy took one look at the wall and began climbing, not carefully, not slowly, but with smooth, efficient movements that carried him upward at a pace that defied belief. His pack didn't seem to slow him down at all. If anything, it appeared to help with balance. "Sir," Kiptar whispered beside me. He's climbing faster than our Minari cadets, and they can fly. Indeed, Murphy was already halfway up while most species would still be studying the route. He reached the top in under 8 minutes, a new academy record. How is this possible? I demanded of the remaining humans. Jake was a rock climbing instructor before he joined the military, explained Cadet Park. All humans learn basic climbing skills in school. It's part of our standard education. Standard education includes rock climbing, among other things, sir. Survival skills, physical fitness, problem solving under pressure. You know, basic life skills, basic life skills. These creatures considered skills that challenged our finest warriors to be basic life skills. The fourth section was maze navigation under time pressure. It's a complex three-dimensional labyrinth filled with dead ends, false paths, and hidden traps. Most cadets got lost for hours. Murphy entered the maze and emerged 12 minutes later, having somehow found the optimal path on his first attempt. When I demanded an explanation, he simply said, "Pattern recognition, sir." Plus, humans are natural problem solvers. We evolved to navigate complex environments. The strength trials should have stopped him, lifting weights that challenged beings twice his size, pushing massive stone blocks across sandy terrain, carrying simulated wounded comrades up steep inclines. Murphy completed every challenge with methodical efficiency, showing no signs of fatigue, sir. Kiptar said quietly. His performance is literally off our charts. The measurement systems weren't designed for efficiency ratings this high. The endurance running section was 10 kilometers through varied terrain with obstacles every few hundred meters. Most species completed it in 45 minutes to an hour. Murphy finished in 28 minutes, still looking fresh enough to run another lap, which brought us to the final challenge, the Tower of Trials. This was my crowning achievement. A complex multi-level structure where cadets had to solve tactical puzzles while dealing with reduced oxygen, temperature extremes, and time pressure. The survival rate on first attempts was less than 30%, and even successful completions usually took several hours. Murphy entered the tower at 1,347 hours. I settled in to watch what I expected would be a long, difficult struggle that would finally humble this impossible human. At 1,419 hours, alarms began sounding throughout the facility. "What's happening?" I demanded, rushing to the control center. "Sir," the technician stammered, "the tower systems are reporting completion of all objectives, but that's impossible. No one has ever finished the entire sequence in under 6 hours, let alone 32 minutes. Through the observation windows, I could see Murphy emerging from the tower exit, looking slightly winded but otherwise unharmed. He was carrying something in his arms. "What is that he's holding?" I asked. The technician checked his sensors. "Sir, it appears to be another cadet." Indeed, Murphy had somehow encountered another student who had become trapped in the tower's lower levels during a previous exercise 3 days ago. We had been planning a rescue mission for the following week. Murphy had simply found him during his run through and carried him out. He completed the tower objectives and performed an unplanned rescue operation. I asked weakly. Yes, sir. And according to the system logs, he also repaired several malfunctioning sensors and improved the efficiency of the ventilation system while he was in there." I sat down heavily in my chair, feeling every one of my 347 cycles, bring him in for debriefing. When Murphy arrived, he was still carrying the rescued cadet, a young Bruthan who looked embarrassed but grateful. "Sir, I found Cadet Thrackmore stuck in Section 5. Looks like a wall panel gave way and blocked his exit route. I took the liberty of clearing the obstruction and escorting him out." "You took the liberty?" I repeated. "Yes, sir. Seemed like the right thing to do." I stared at this impossible creature, who had just demolished every preconception I had about physical limitations, tactical thinking, and the fundamental nature of what was possible. "Cadet Murphy, in 32 minutes you completed challenges that typically take trained warriors several hours. You rescued a fellow cadet. You performed maintenance on academy equipment, and you did all of this while carrying a field pack that violates the laws of physics." Murphy scratched his head again. "Sir, I hope I didn't break any regulations. I know the rescue wasn't part of the official exercise, but..." Break regulations? I laughed, a sound that came out as a sort of strangled wheeze. Cadet Murphy, you have just achieved the highest performance rating in Academy history. You have redefined what we consider physically possible. You have single-handedly forced us to recalibrate our entire evaluation system. The human looked genuinely concerned. Is that bad, sir? Bad? I stood up, drawing myself to my full height. Cadet Murphy, it is absolutely terrifying, because if you represent average human capabilities, then every military assessment we have ever made about your species has been catastrophically wrong. Murphy glanced at his fellow humans, who had been watching the proceedings with obvious amusement. Sir, with respect, Jake's performance today was pretty typical for human military standards, maybe slightly above average. Slightly above average? My voice cracked completely. Yes, sir. Most of our training programs are significantly more challenging than what we've seen here today. I looked around the room at the other species representatives, all of whom were staring at the humans with expressions ranging from shock to outright terror. The implications were staggering. If these humans were truly representative of their species' capabilities, then every strategic calculation about military balance in the galaxy would need to be reconsidered. Instructor Vex'torin, Murphy said respectfully, I hope we haven't caused any problems. We're just here to learn and contribute to galactic security however we can. I looked at this polite, unassuming creature who had just casually redefined the boundaries of what was possible. Then I looked at his pack, still somehow containing more equipment than should have been able to fit, carried without apparent effort through challenges that would break most beings in the galaxy. Cadet Murphy, I said finally, I believe the Academy has more to learn from you than you do from us. And that, my friends, is how I learned that sometimes the most dangerous beings in the galaxy are the ones who don't look dangerous at all. Sometimes they just look like friendly creatures with really good packing skills. The Academy was never quite the same after that day, and neither was I.